What's up, guys? So let's talk about this video with Conor McGregor versus The Mountain, this whole sparring thing. I know this was like over a year ago, but I saw this video a while ago when it came out, and I saw people, giving their thoughts about it, what they think about it, and their understanding of this. And it was pretty ridiculous of what many of these people were saying. And then I came back to see it again. I came back to see what people are saying, and they're still saying the same things of if The Mountain actually wanted to, he would have crumbled Conor like a ball and just threw him, or break him in half when he got a hold of him. Literally meaning once he gets a hold of him, he can break him in half like he's a stick or like he's some inanimate object. And I had one person argue with me about this a while ago. Now, I just want to make something clear before all this. I'm not trying to say that size doesn't matter or anything like that. I'm just showing that the thought of how size works in this case is incorrect in many people. So looking at this video, right, The Mountain from Game of Thrones and Conor McGregor, right, it seems like a light sparring thing. They're just having fun out there, both of them. Conor looks like he just got done with a workout. He got done training for a little bit. He is a bit sweaty coming into this. It kind of cuts in while they're moving around. So I suspect they started filming this maybe 20 seconds in, 10 seconds in, because there's no way they're just going to miss minutes of this happening. So they probably just got their cameras out and started filming it right away, right? Now, this is a perfect example of size from someone who doesn't have real skill or experience in these kind of martial arts, not showing an effective way of using that size to a highly skilled martial artist like Conor. I think he had some kind of experience in European martial arts, but pretty much compared to Conor, no real skill. Just he tries to use his size and his strength and try to enclose Conor and get him trapped, right? And Conor being the much more skilled fighter, being the much faster fighter, have much better cardio, much better footwork. You start to see that example of the smaller, better fighter versus the big fighter without that much knowledge. And I'm going to say it again, this is like a light sparring, fun thing they're doing, but it's not like they're not trying at all. There are many moments where they look like they're focused and trying to go for that goal that they set. And right away you see Conor taking his normal stance, but he's a bit more upright. And the reason why he's more upright, he wants to use that footwork a lot more. He wants to get on that bicycle and start moving his legs, run around. And you see Mountain's stance, completely square, facing Conor, feet parallel, and just try to walk him down and get a hold of him. His hands are not up in the beginning, and Conor just lands the left hand on the body, which accumulate, right? You see the Mountain just take him on purpose, take the shots on purpose. And notice Conor's left hand, he hits it and pulls it away right away on the retraction so he doesn't let the Mountain get a hold of him. Because if he sat on it and put it all the way through, and if it doesn't really affect the Mountain that much right there, the Mountain can get a hold of him a lot better. So he retracts it so he can move out really quick, and that decreases the power of the punch as well. And then you see the Mountain go under and land his left hand on the body, right? Not good form, really. There's not much power in it as well. It didn't seem like he went all the way through with it as well. But even the way he threw it, there's not much power in that motion. So he just connects on Conor, but Conor actually moves with the punch. You see how much faster Conor is. It just touches him and Conor just moves away with it. The Mountain just bull rushes him and gets a hold of him as Conor actually pauses and holds his ground. And he puts his hands up in front of him so he has the option to push away and duck his head away from the grips of the Mountain. Grappling exchanges were initiated because of Conor's attempts of landing different kind of strikes that he didn't necessarily need to land, such as those front kicks to the body. Obviously, to a trained fighter like Conor, throwing these kind of kicks to a bigger opponent who needs something to grab onto the smaller opponent, he of course knows not to throw kicks to the body. He would just use his boxing and his movement, really. Again, showing that this is more of a fun kind of thing for them. In a striking battle, in a striking distance, he's not going to beat Conor. Because if it were a real fight, Conor would just use his movement, use his distance, and use his speed. Conor would be much more methodical and only use the techniques necessary, such as movement, as the Mountain attempts to close the distance, and Conor would find those openings toward the liver or the jaw with the left overhand or the left cross. Just those two punches and some other ones that he sees openings for are really enough to deal with the Mountain and just move away after every punch. Throw the punch, pull it, and move away. Throw the punch, pull, and move away. Just pick his shots and move. Pick his shots and move. Because after every single shot, if it does not have enough to put down the Mountain's going to try to close the distance again. And the Mountain is not fast enough to grab a hold of Conor if Conor is moving. And his retraction of the punches and everything like that are going to be a little bit too fast for the Mountain to actually get a hold of him. Now, people seeing this will say, but the Mountain actually landed some body shots on Conor. Then again, body shots are much more easy to land than headshots. And the body shots that the Mountain was throwing did not really have any real good form to actually deliver power. He was just swinging his arms at him. Yes, they were quite quick, but there was no real snap into them. The form was not really correct to deliver the power. And if the form is not correct to deliver that power that he has in him, they're pretty much not doing anything to Conor. Yes, he's holding back, of course, but you could just see, even if he were to throw as hard as he can with that form, he still wouldn't be able to deliver that much power. And most likely he would be winding up, right? And if he's going to wind up, if he's committing with these punches, Conor will be able to get away from them much easier. And whenever he did throw a lot of these body shots, Conor was moving with them. He was moving away with the punches, which decreases the impact, no matter how powerful you are. Now, the reason why body shots are easier to land than headshots, one, obviously, it's a bigger target. The body is a bigger target than the head, and the body is stationary, more so than the head. The body can move in much less distances in every direction than the head can move. The head is much more mobile to move around. You can start with your legs, you can move your hips, you can move your neck, you can move your shoulders, and all these will move the head, right? While the torso, the body, will have just the legs and the hips that can really move it in different directions. Now, the mountain has a left overhook and then a right collar tie, which is actually a pretty good grip to have on someone. Now, this was a good grip from him. He was actually controlling Conor pretty well. But then here comes a lack of knowledge. He lets go of the grip, hits Conor on the left side, but Conor gets his body to the side, perpendicular to the mountain, and tries to wrap his arm around him to get a headlock while still controlling the right arm of Conor. And he got himself off balance, or he didn't have the balance to control Conor now. Because when he did it, he stepped forward completely and leaned forward with his legs forward as well. So his hips were back, but his legs and his upper body were forward. It was almost like he was about to squat. He has almost no balance to control Conor here. Doesn't matter how strong you are. So what does Conor do? He just steps to the left, has a really good base, and just slips right out from the mountain. So even if you don't have the base, you don't have the balance, you don't have the feet under you to control the other man, it doesn't matter how strong you are. It really doesn't. Because remember, these are still two human beings. Remember, Conor does have limbs and joints. It's not like picking up a rock. You get a hold of Conor, he's going to be able to slip things out because of his joints. People are forgetting about the human anatomy. He's not picking up a lawn chair that can't move its frame around. I know a lot of people would wonder, why would I have to mention this? There are some people out there that I saw think that this is the case, that a highly complex human frame with animate movement is no different or just as easy manipulated as some object with no defense to these manipulations. You see later then Conor throws a kick to the body, which was not a smart thing. I think he was just testing the mountain. Now that could be dangerous, because if you got the hold of the leg of Conor like that, it could have been dangerous if the mountain actually knew the necessary skill to take Conor to the ground. But Conor just lifts his leg higher, using his flexibility to get his leg even higher up, away from the grip, and pull it back. And then he lands another left hand. Now you start to see the mountain get tired. And it's only, 40-something seconds in, probably at another 20 seconds before the recording. So he's getting tired about a minute in. The mountain's just walking, trying to get at Conor, and Conor is moving around easily, just evading the bigger man, and you see the mountain start to breathe heavy. Now here's the thing, people say the mountain's not even trying, he's just playing with his food. There is no way you start to breathe heavy already if you're not trying. It doesn't matter how big you are. If you're not using your strength, if you're not exploding into things, there's no way you can get tired already. The only way you could get tired is if you use your strength, you explode into things, you use your fast twitch or slow twitch muscle fibers, right? You have to burn energy. If you're not trying, you're not burning energy. For example, I've light sparred before, and I'm average size. When I light spar, I could literally do it for over an hour. Just keep going. Because in light sparring, we are trying a little bit, but not much. What people are saying here, that the mountain is not even trying at all. He just get a hold of Conor and let him go. Get a hold of Conor, let Conor do his thing. There's no way he can get tired already. There is absolutely no way. If he was going at that pace that people are claiming, he should be able to do this for, at the very least, 5 minutes or so. Not in around a minute or something like that. Even if he were to gas in 2 minutes, it's kind of ridiculous to say that he isn't trying. If he's exerting energy to the point where he's gassing, then he is trying. Imagine that. Imagine that's an MMA fight. If he was going all out completely, throwing all his shots, trying to get a hold of the guy and all this stuff, that means he would be exerting even more energy, right? Logically and realistically, he would gas out much sooner. Seconds in and he'll be huffing and puffing. Now here you see Conor throw another left hand, and this one you can see actually start to hurt the mountain. When he gets hit, the mountain makes a face. He's not experienced enough to not let the opponent know when he's hurt. So he gets hit and he makes the face, letting the other guy know he's hurt. Fighters who have experience of getting hit and not showing face, such as, let's say, Floyd Mayweather is probably the best at doing this, or guys like Benson Henderson, you'd never know when they're hurt. You can hit him with the biggest shot. You never know when they're hurt, unless their legs wobble. But he made a face telling Conor, oh, that didn't feel good. You'll notice Mountain trying to close the distance and get in the position to grab Conor, but Conor is too fast for the tired Mountain. After Conor lands another left, you see a change in aggression. Conor starts to pressure the Mountain, showing the fatigue and possible impact from the punches of Conor are present. There would be no reason for the Mountain to be backing up on Conor unless he's getting tired. And now Conor is playing with him. Conor is moving his arms, moving awkwardly in front of him, trying to confuse him, and just playing around in there. Conor's playing a little bit too much, throws another kick to the body, and the Mountain actually gets a hold of it. Now here, you can see the strength of the Mountain here. I mean, he's holding his leg with one hand, under his own legs, and he's trying to get a hold of Conor's arm. And he's not even like squatting down, he's not curling up to get a hold of it and get a good grip. He's literally holding on to it with his hand. That is the strength of the Mountain. And then he puts it between his legs and just holds him there. This is where you see the size and the strength. This is the strength differential between these guys. Not something like the Mountain can pick him up now and throw him across the room. That's not going to happen. And look at the hand fighting here. The Mountain has control of Conor's left arm. And Conor has control of Mountain's left arm. And look when the Mountain starts to pull and push onto Conor's arms. Conor shows a lot of resistance. Remember, there's joints in his arm. He has the elbow, he has the wrist, he has the fingers, You can't just hold it down like it's a straight stick. If his arm was like that, just a stick, if he has sticks for arms, then he'll be able to do this. But look, he cannot even control Conor's arms that well. You see a couple times where he's able to hold it down for a little bit, but Conor's able to move his arms in a way to reposition the hand fighting. Now it looks like the Mountain tries to get another headlock on Conor and gets Conor down. And Conor's able to get his leg out now. And the fact that he gets his leg out, now he's completely free. The Mountain has no control of his body. Because of the grips of the Mountain, he has his right hand on the top of Conor's head, and his left arm is attempting to go around it, but he doesn't. So Conor's just able to go down under the arm since there's nothing holding Conor up from under him. There's no arm under him that's controlling him from moving his head under and then out. So that's what he does. There's all this opening down here, moves out, and now he's in a good position again. You could see the Mountain's inability to actually apply his strength in many situations due to his grip placement and where he wanted to initiate the grappling techniques. Yes, he has this incredible strength, right? But you need placement for it to be effective. And he obviously didn't have it. Look at the strongman competitions for an example. Or his weight training workouts. He needs to hold these objects in the proper position with the proper grip to grab these objects with the correct placement for him to apply his strength on them. Anything even slightly off, the placement, the position, the grip, anything slightly off and his strength acting on the object is decreased significantly. Imagine those objects able to move as the Mountain's hold is not correctly in place. The grip can break much easier. Or the resistance would be much greater on the Mountain and the strain would be greater too. Now a good example of this is shot putters, right? Shot put throwers in track and field. They need that form of putting the ball on their neck or close to their head in some fashion so they can get it in the position where they can launch it by pushing forward from behind the ball. Now, grab a much bigger, a much stronger man and have them try to throw the same shot put ball, but try to throw it like a baseball. I guarantee the more experienced shot put throwers will most likely have a farther throw than the bigger person. Or the strength of the person would be not as present as one would think, right? Same thing here. Although the abnormal strength will still show, even in incorrect positions and grips, of course on the Mountain, but the strength is decreased significantly in terms of effectiveness, allowing Conor to slip away and maneuver his body out of those grips. Also, there is a weak point in gripping the wrist, and that is toward the thumb. No matter who you are, any human being, you could try with anyone you know. The strongest person you know, try it on them as well. By having them grip your wrist firmly, you can maneuver your hand out of that grip by simply continuously turning and rolling your wrist and hand toward their thumb. And this will naturally cause their fingers to slip away, and now the grip toward the thumb is naturally going to be very weak. Now, when the resistance of the fingers are giving, then you can easily just keep turning your wrist and hand over their thumb, right? Now, this weak point in the grip is present in every single human being, obviously because of the human anatomy. Now, this doesn't mean that you'll get out of the grip of anybody, such as the Mountain, let's say, but it will cause the bigger and stronger person to use more energy to secure the hold, and that is what you saw here. Conor went to go for this maneuver, and the Mountain let go of it, saying that his grip wasn't working so well, so he went for a punch to the body instead. The grip was not working on Conor at all. He was using a lot of energy trying to hold onto Conor's wrist as Conor's trying to turn his wrist over his thumb continuously and trying to keep the hold of that grip while it keeps trying to slip out. It can get pretty taxing on your cardio. Now the Mountain grabbing the wrist, not knowing how to finish any technique from there, to then punching the body because he was out of options at that point, and then instinctively grabbing onto the head of Conor, but nothing supporting the hold. No matter the strength, there is no way to pull off anything effective here. Some people will wonder why, or they will just reason that the Mountain is just so powerful he could just crush Conor's wrists or pull down his neck and injure it or something. Now this is just lack of experience talking or lack of real reasoning. Most common people forget the human anatomy and how it works in these kind of grappling holds. These people are too used to seeing the Mountain or any other strongman work with inanimate objects and see what they can do with those objects, but forget how complex the human body actually is and how the joints, such as the shoulders or the wrists or the hips, more or less the elbows, operate by themselves, let alone someone with great control of their anatomy and body like Conor. And you see Conor easily just move around. Mountain just doesn't have the footwork speed to keep up with Conor, and Conor can just move casually around. And once you see Mountain stop chasing him and just watch Conor move around, he's gassed right now. Conor goes forward, lands another left hand, and you see him shuffling backwards, same pace as the Mountain's moving forward. Keeping that distance, because now he knows where he can land the left hand, and he just moves out completely again. You see Conor move forward, and you see the Mountain curling over a little bit. The body shots are starting to hurt him. He's getting tired. He reaches forward, and as soon as he reaches forward, Conor just lands a right under his arm. Conor starts nodding his head. He sees the Mountain getting tired. The Mountain throws a punch out there, doesn't really land, and gets a hold of Conor again. And Conor's moving back. You see Conor is respecting the size and the strength of the Mountain, even though the Mountain is not experienced in fighting, because it's still a factor. And the Mountain gets another right collar tie over the head, but he doesn't control anything from under. He's leaving Conor all this space to move his head down and then out, because there's nothing barricading him from moving his head down. So that's what he does. Just moves out after. Now here's interesting. The Mountain got Conor up against the wall. This is where the advantage of the bigger man usually comes. He has Conor against the wall, so now Conor can only move left and right. He's not going to move forward into the bigger man. He can't move back into the wall. So he limited one of the biggest advantages of the smaller man. And you see Conor move right. The Mountain tries to follow him. As soon as the Mountain moves the same direction, Conor redirects, moves the other way, and the Mountain just loses him. The footwork speed is just not there. The Mountain just backs up. He's getting even more tired. Conor's nodding his head, knows how the Mountain's feeling right now. You can see on the Mountain's face, he's focused. I mean, he sees Conor taunting him. He sees himself getting tired. This is not like, oh, who cares what happened. You can see that they are actually focused, both of them, because they're both competitors. Conor being in fighting, Mountain being in the strongman competitions. I mean, they are real competitors. So it's not like they're just going in there and they don't care about winning even this kind of thing. They both seem like they want to win anything they're in. You see Conor start to play with the Mountain a little bit. He starts throwing some feints out there, pretending he's going to throw a punch at him. Even at this distance, there's a clear opening on the Mountain's body. But you see Conor start to hop in place, throw some feints out there. At one point, you see Conor move in very fluidly, but it's a real quick movement. And then the Mountain reacts and he puts his hands forward, puts his head down, right? At this moment, this could have been, if this was a real fight and this would have happened, Conor would have saw a huge opening for a shot to the jaw. I mean, it's a clear target. Seeing how the Mountain reacts to Conor's movements like this, these sudden movements are more of a lack of experience, more of a lack of skill compared to what Conor can do. Conor just moving in like that, just a slight quick movement, created a huge opening on the Mountain. Then Conor starts feinting his punches, moves his hands forward a little bit, and the Mountain throws this uppercut kind of motion of a punch, but it lands almost like a back fist upward, but it still lands with the knuckles. But what you see Conor do, notice Conor's body movement. He moves his body with the punch and turns it perpendicular to the Mountain's body. And this decreases the impact because he's moving his body just slightly with the punch. And what do you see after the shot? You see Conor start to play with him, moving his arms up and down. The Mountain has a serious face on him. Mountain moves back. He's tired. Body straight upward. You see Conor step, throw that long left straight to the body. Looks like he's aiming for the liver. This is a huge shot. The Mountain can't gauge the speed of Conor. And right when he lands, this is the one that hurt the Mountain bad. I mean, you see the Mountain curl over. This shot really affected him. Even for being 400 pounds, how much, and all that muscle, all that quote-unquote padding that he has on the body. And everybody knows when you see someone curl over after a body shot like this, you know you got them. The Mountain stays in place for some more shots that don't seem to land too clean. I mean, he does have a lot of quote-unquote padding on him. The right hook to the body and the uppercut don't have too much impact on the Mountain. And the Mountain here has to close the distance. He has to get Conor now because he can't just keep taking shots like this. He runs at Conor again, grabs a single collar tie. Conor lands uppercut to the body, and again, nothing controlling him. moves his head under and then out, moves back using his footwork speed, and then redirects to the right, and the Mountain loses him again. The Mountain's pretty much done. I mean, he's exhausted here, and that's pretty much it. I mean, no disrespect to many of these people, but there's a lot of uneducated people out there. I mean, that saw this and give their take on it and actually believe in what they're saying when they don't really understand combat or fighting or martial arts or anything like that. I mean, they've been watching too many Game of Thrones, too many movies, thinking that once the bigger man can just crumble this guy up and throw him and crumble him up and eat him or something. But I do admit though, the fact that the area was a little bit more open was better for Conor being a smaller man, because he had all this room to move around. If it was an enclosed area and small area, he would have a much bigger disadvantage, because the Mountain would be able to hold him against the walls, and then he'll be able to get control of Conor's body a little bit better, get grips a little bit better. But I just made this video to point out pretty much some myths about size advantages, some exaggerations about it. I mean, if a guy is bigger and he had more skill, such as in this case, if the Mountain had as much skill as Conor did, this would be very different. But the fact that he has nowhere near as much skill and a technical approach that Conor does, it shows right here. And there were no headshots. This was all body work. The bigger man has a much bigger advantage if it's just body shots. But if Conor was able to land those lefts to the head, this would be over very quickly. Even though a bigger man could take a better punch than a smaller man, it's not by much. The only thing that size has a factor on that is their neck muscles and maybe the size of their head. It's not that much of a factor. Because when you punch someone in the head, or you punch someone in the jaw, so in this case, Conor lands a left hook over the jaw full power on the Mountain, let's say. What happens is, the chin and the jaw take a role as a lever almost, and it turns the head very quickly and torques it to the left. Same way the punch is going, right? And what that does is, it makes the brain hit the walls inside of your head, right? That's what causes the knockout. And no matter what, if you hit anyone's jaw like that, with a left hook, with a right hook, their head is going to move like that. It's because the anatomy and the shape of the jaw and the chin, it's almost like a lever. Yes, the neck muscles could decrease the whiplash of the head a little bit, not by much, a little bit, because the neck is not that strong. The knockout blow will still happen. It will still happen. Even if it doesn't happen with one shot, 2 or 3, 4 or 5 shots from Conor with a left hand like that, which he would almost 100% would be able to land on the Mountain here. Now, this is not really fair to analyze like that, because the Mountain is not really a professional fighter. He doesn't really have the techniques that Conor does, and doesn't have the understanding. So I'll say this, if the Mountain was a wrestler, if the Mountain had some kind of martial art background that we'll be able to use here, that's effective in this kind of scenario, we'll have a different conversation. But we're talking about an unskilled, compared to Conor, an unskilled person, strong man, versus a professional fighter. And what they're doing is pretty much fighting. So yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe. For my next video, I'm gonna come out with my prediction video for UFC 218 and the Ultimate Fighter finale. I'm gonna try to get that out by today, but if it doesn't come out by today, it's 100% going to come out by tomorrow. And I'm debating whether to do my new layout. If I do my new layout, the prediction video is going to come out much later. But if I don't, if I use the usual layout, then it will come out much sooner. So, and also, many people were asking, and it's finally going to come, my next of the Nightmare Matchup series. I'm going to come out with the second video after UFC 218. So be on the lookout for that as well. I'm going to try to get out next week or so. I just wanted to wait until all the championships shook up, all the divisions shook up, and the champions changed, and a lot of that has happened. So next Nightmare Matchup is going to come out soon as well. So be on the lookout for that. And again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.